皆さん、こんにちは。質問あります。Does Japanese Uncovered actually work? Welcome to my Lingo Kingdom. I am Carl, and I am learning Gaelic, Khmer, and Nihongo. And in case you weren't aware, Japanese Uncovered is an online course to learn Japanese created by Ollie Richards, who is a popular YouTube polyglot. And he's created online courses with his story learning method, not just for Japanese, but for a lot of other languages that you might also be interested in learning, like Spanish and French and Russian and Mandarin and German and Turkish and a lot of other ones. Japanese Uncovered is his set of courses to help you learn Japanese. And he's got several based on your experience level. Now that I have finished the first part of his Japanese Uncovered course, I want to tell y'all about it and whether or not I recommend it and what you can expect from it. Now, story learning is what he calls his approach, and it's not just like a book, right? Here's a book, learn Japanese. It's an entire methodology to help you internalize vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and culture using the power of narrative. And this is why I was so intrigued to try it out and why I've been so excited to use it as a Japanese learner. So here's how it works. Each chapter of a short story is read aloud by a native speaker, and then there are video lessons after that in order to explain the vocab, grammar, pronunciation, and culture behind what just happened in that part of the story. So that way you get immersed into the language without feeling lost or feeling like, you have to try to decipher what's written in some textbook by a person you'll never meet, you don't even know what their face looks like. Instead, you can learn at your own pace through this interesting, immersive narrative with help along the way from Ollie and from Ai-sensei, who is the native Japanese speaker. So there's a lot to love when it comes to Japanese Uncovered. I'm going to try to take all the stuff I love about it and boil it down into the most important aspects for you. First of all, you should think of the course almost like as being a learning experience that's designed around a Japanese fiction audiobook that's written at a level for learners like you and me. It's much more engaging than some kind of boring textbook with these stilted scenarios that only last for a page or two. It's got characters that you get to learn more about as you go through the story, and your ability with Japanese progresses as you go through the story. As I mentioned, it's actually a native Japanese speaker who is reading the story to you for you to follow along with and learn from. While Ollie is, of course, great at speaking and teaching Japanese because he's lived in Japan, it's also reassuring to me that everything is taught and authenticated by Ai-sensei. And you know what's even better is there's actually 2 audio recordings of every chapter of the story. There's a normal speed where you get to learn how fast, or at least it sounds fast to us learners, a native speaker will actually speak. But then there's also a slowed down version where Ai-sensei kind of reads more slowly for us gaiji. The course starts off with basic concepts and then builds incrementally on itself. So as it goes on, it builds on what you've already learned and gets more complex with the grammar and the vocabulary as the story progresses. So as a course creator myself, this is exactly what you want to have in a learning experience. There's also going to be printable worksheets for practicing the kana and also for learning vocabulary. If hiragana or katakana are new to you, or if you're still struggling with katakana a little bit like me, then this is going to be definitely useful for you because you can print these out and actually practice these by hand. There's also lots of chapter download options for the story itself. So while you're listening to the audio, some people who are brand new can't do the kana, so they want to read with romaji just to get used to it. You can do that. You can look at the story in romaji. Maybe you're a little bit more advanced and you want to have the kana. Maybe you want to have kanji with furigana. If you like to print things out and highlight things and write notes, you can do that too. And all of those options are there so that you can pick the one that helps you learn best. And another thing they've done with the updated version of the course for both sections, the beginner and the pre-intermediate, is that there are now speaking exercises that you can use to practice with a tutor. So if you're taking the course and also paying for like a one-on-one Japanese teacher, like on iTalki, then you can take those notes, you can give the story to the teacher, give the worksheet to the teacher, and they will actually talk with you about the story so that you can apply what you're learning in each chapter as you're going along and use it in your interactions with your tutor. How cool is that? There's also a built-in online community with a responsive instructor to answer your questions. So if you're like, I just watched lesson number 10.2 and I don't understand this thing about this word, you can go to the community and see if someone else has already asked that question, or you can ask the question and someone will get back to you pretty soon with a reliable answer. And finally, Japanese Uncovered has a really fun, engaging story. It's called Samurai no Takara, which means treasure of samurai. And I think it's really cool. And the reason why I say that is because the way the story is set up is designed to help the learner. It's not like some kind of just fantasy story that you'd find in anime, which I love anime, but a lot of the words that we might learn in anime that we really think are fun are not really going to be used in normal Japanese conversations. Like in Japan, you'll never have to go kagebunshin no jutsu, right? Or hokage ni naru. Phrases and vocabulary like that are not going to be useful in Japan. Whereas the story, Samurai no Takara, it's actually based around realistic characters who are traveling to Japan and interacting with Japanese people, having ordinary conversations like meeting in an airport, getting onto a train, exploring a tourist destination, all while solving a mystery. You get all of that cool stuff wrapped into one package with Japanese Uncovered. Now, what about the cons? This story learning online course stuff can't be perfect, can it? Well, of course, no online course is going to be perfect. As someone who also creates online courses, I will tell you, they're never as perfect as you want to get them. But here are a couple things. There's something that you get at the beginning of the course called the Golden 100, which is a downloadable, printable vocabulary list where it's got the top 100 most frequently used words. And I think it's really great. I'm so glad they had that. I've been really using that when I first started out. But I wanted more than that. So I wish there was an option at the beginning to get like not just the Golden 100, but also the Golden 1000. Right. There is an option to download more vocab stuff near the end of the course, but I just wish there had been something like that at the beginning so that I could have prepared myself and started to learn the vocabulary that I would learn later on. I'll also say that a lot of the teaching/explaining videos where after you've read a chapter in the story and Ollie is breaking down these grammatical concepts, some of them are kind of long. Some of them can be, 20 minutes long, and there might be 2 of them for that lesson. And so I think it would be better if you took the same content. Content is great. You took that and cut it into smaller chunks. You can still watch part of it and come back to it later and it'll remember where you are. It's not a big deal. Now, since I am by trade an experienced designer and I work in the tech industry and I'm a course creator, like I said, a lot of the other issues that I have are really more with the platform that Japanese Uncovered is on and less with, Ollie's course itself. The course is great. There's just a couple things about the teachable platform that I don't really like. So one of these is that the Teachable app isn't really supported by StoryLearning since it doesn't really work very well. So StoryLearning said, don't try to even use the Teachable mobile app, just use StoryLearning in your mobile browser. That seems to work fine, so I don't have to worry about the app, but makes me wonder if Teachable had a better app, maybe that would be a better experience. I don't know. One of the things that bugs me about Teachable is that when you go to a new lesson, it'll automatically jump you down the page to where the quiz is instead of it'll like skip all the video lessons and you have to scroll up. And I also kind of only like 2 out of the different 4 modes that you can use for the quiz section. At the end of the day, the positives far outweigh the negatives because there are very few negatives with Japanese Uncovered. It's overwhelmingly helpful and I'm so glad that I invested in this set of courses. Like I said, I've already started the pre-intermediate, so the level 2, and I've already also purchased the intermediate. So I guess that's Japanese Uncovered 3 and 4. You might think, well, why do I need to get story learning if I could just kind of simulate the same experience by getting short stories online or finding a Japanese manga and then reading that? Isn't that kind of like the same thing as story learning? Well, I do recommend that you get some manga, some, entry-level manga at some point in your language learning journey, but that's still not the best way, I think, to start out. I think you have to have a bit of skill already in the language before you're really going to be able to go through that and enjoy it. Because if you're going straight from, okay, I've learned some of the characters and a few words and I'm going straight to manga, even if it's designed for kids, you're still going to have to sit there with a dictionary or Google Translate or something, and you're really not going to be able to immerse yourself in the story, and it's not going to be the kind of learning experience that you want, which will then motivate you to keep learning. You have to get a solid foundation in the language, especially reading in the language, and story learning will actually help you do that. Japanese Uncovered, now that I've completed number 1 and I'm moving into Japanese Uncovered 2, I'm a lot less intimidated by trying to, open up a book of manga and try to read it. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, I kind of know what's going on now. I can work my way through it. It's okay if there's some ambiguity because I'll eventually fill in those gaps. So that's why I think the story learning method that is used in Japanese Uncovered and all these other courses that you can get through story learning, in case you're learning a different language, That's why I think it's so effective. That's also why I think getting Japanese uncovered is much better than only using something like Duolingo or other apps. Those are great, and I definitely recommend that you use those too, but those ultimately are not going to get you fluent in the language. It's not going to provide you the level of immersion that you need because it's just giving you isolated words and sentences. But Japanese Uncovered is going to put all of that context that you need to help make things memorable and put it in a narrative, and that's going to make it understandable, and it's going to make it to where you can remember everything that you're learning. The reason why that is because if you want to learn a language and become fluent in it, you've got to spend time getting comprehensible input and then eventually get to the point where you can speak what you're comprehending. That's what learning language is all about, input and output. Japanese Uncovered, I think, is one of the best ways to do that. So if you're truly ready to learn Japanese and be able to talk about these stories that you're learning through in Japanese, then click the affiliate link down below and start Japanese Uncovered with a 7-day free trial. Japanese Uncovered also comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee, which you won't need because Japanese Uncovered is awesome. And by the way, if you're thinking about getting a story learning course and it's not Japanese, you want to get a different one, also got links down below for that. So if you're ready to supercharge your Japanese, then join me in experiencing the story of Samurai no Takara by getting Japanese Uncovered, the link down below. So there's a lot to love about Japanese Uncovered, but I'll try to boil things down into the most important aspects of the course. First off, think of it like Buttercup. You messed everything up, Buttercup.